I've been I've been away a couple weeks. I was in Tanzania. We were on the first official astronomy expedition to Kilimanjaro to look for potential sites for a telescope. This is Mount Kilimanjaro, you can see below me. In the foreground is Uhura Peak, and in the background is Mwenzi Peak, and somewhere in the middle between the two, there's about 20 square kilometers of area that's called the saddle, that we were considering for potential sites for a telescope. Now, when I arrived at Kilimanjaro, at Tanzania, I did not expect to climb the mountain to the peak. My original goal was simply to wander around on the saddle looking for potential sites, but it didn't work out that way, and I had to climb for the second time. And this ain't bragging. This is really hard. This is tiring. This just is. Once you get to the top, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's amazing. But what I want to talk about today is the spirit, the human spirit, the camaraderie that was shared on the mountain, the positivity. I never heard a single negative word while I was on that mountain. Not a single negative word. Absolutely astounding. Probably the most positive place on the planet I've ever visited. Ever. And that says a lot. I've visited a lot of places and a lot of places with a lot of good people. But not like the spirit on this mountain. How we all helped one another. Guides, porters, tourists, all of us. We all engaged. We all helped each other. Absolutely astounding. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The human spirit. And how I'm not going to screw it up on this mountain with this telescope project.
The GERA Foundation presents this series called Navigating Research.
Right, Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. We climbed it in September of 2022. Our goal was to look for potential sites where we thought we could build a telescope, or if we were even able to do it. Obviously, we have to do site testing and things like this, but we first wanted to go. And I will speak about the actual project in another video. In this video, I'm just going to focus on the interactions with the guides, the porters, the wardens, the people on the ground before you even get into the park. I want to talk about the energy, the positivity that goes into getting up this mountain. The encouragement required is enormous. This is hard. This is not simple. Anybody tells you this is easy is crazy. It's hard. I did it the first time. I knew what to expect the second time, and I was dreading it. I really was. And I hadn't planned. I hadn't planned to do it twice, I must tell you. I wanted to walk around the saddle and look at all the different landmarks there to see if there's some place I could hide a telescope. Anyways, but in this case, the people come together. Everybody, the other climbers, your friends and colleagues, the guides, the porters, the cooks, everybody is encouraging you to make it to that peak, to here on Uhura. And it's absolutely amazing. No other place in the world is like this. No other place has the amount of positivity that Mount Kilimanjaro has. There's a mystique of Mount Kilimanjaro. They sing about it. But you don't know what it is until you come to this mountain and you engage with all those people that take you up that mountain. And that's what we're going to talk about. For the record, we took the Coca-Cola route, the Marengo route. So the Marengo route starts here at Marengo Gate. It travels up to Mandara, which is in the middle of the rainforest, which is, as I said, a World Heritage protected site. And then from there, we went up to Horombo, where we were above the rainforest and most of the clouds, by the way, which is the point of building on a telescope at above 4,000 meters. It was at 3,700, I think. And then finally from Horombo, we wandered up through the plateau into the desert, the Alpine desert, and to Kibo Hut, where we rested for a bit of time, and then we ascended to Uhura Peak. We came back down, and on the way down, we went straight down to Horombo Hut, and from there, we deviated from the normal trip, and that is we drove down because we wanted to see the quality of the road. We could see the road from Horombo to Kibo, and it is drivable if you're using a Unimog or something that's got modified breathing facilities in the engine. But we wanted to see what the road was like going down through the rainforest, so we drove down one of the emergency vehicles a real experience, I must tell you. The road is not great. It has hair-raising. It is hair-raising. There are places where you might not want to keep your eyes open, but otherwise quite safe. And that's what we did. That's the nature. That was the whole trip. That was the whole expedition. So we went to Mandara for a night, Horombo for 2 nights, Kibo Huts for several hours, climbed to Uhura during the night. Terrible experience, hard, tiring, but beautiful. And then we descended down to Horombo, and then we drove down to the gate. And this is where it all begins. This is the various estimated times it's going to take you to get to places, into the forest, at Mandara, moorlands, into the Alpine Desert, and finally the ice cap, in our case on the 21st of September 2022. This is the trail. This is where you go through. You sign in and off you go. And this trail, I got to tell you, it can be rough. There's some nice, heavy, steep zones and whatnot, but that's into the rainforest. This is the starting point. This is the beginning of our climb. We started a little late. We started much later than we wanted to, and we ended up walking part of the end of this trip through the rainforest. This is the rainforest at night, which was really unfortunate because then you don't get to see very much, right? It's quite dark, obviously, and you have to watch your step all the time. And this little path here looks really quite nice, but that was really only one of the few nice spots of the path. It really got very steep in places where you were climbing up a little bit of rocky areas and stuff like that. And at nighttime, it was a little tricky. So anyways, never mind that. We did see some monkeys, some wild animals and some monkeys in this area, which was quite cool. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. The environment, everything about it. It's warm, it's hot, but it's beautiful.
Morning. Morning. Day 2. We're at Mandara Hut at the top of the rainforest. Not quite out of the rainforest yet, but we will be today. You can see the flora and another group of people getting ready to be carried up. The porters will carry all of that to the next station, which is Horombo. Ooh, long way to go to Horombo. Hello? Dude, you're all in my video. No, not him. Oh no, the cloud came out. Here we are, day 3, above Horombo Hut. We're gonna just do a walkabout today. There's Bowenzi, Horombo Hut, and there's where we're gonna end up tomorrow night, I hope. And you can see I'm standing on a rock precipice well above this camp. A little stupid, but here I am. Take care. Godspeed, boy.
Here's an image at Kibo Hut looking up the mountain towards Uhura Peak way up here. And you can see the trail going up the mountain and you get into the screed field and it is horrible. It is horrible. I've done it twice and I really wouldn't want to do it a third time, but I probably will. It was horrible. It was hard. It was really hard. But anyways, this is Kibo Hut. These are the sort of huts you stay at. And then at about midnight, you start marching off into the distance and you follow this path up the mountain to Gilman's Point and then on to Stella's Point and then Uhura Peak. The real trial of Kilimanjaro begins when you leave Kibo Hut at midnight, in the middle of the night, and there's a reason for it, probably because psychologically you'd get into this area here and you're zigzagging up this mountain, climbing 1,000 meters, and you're like, I can't do this. And this is where the positivity of the mountain really comes into play, really tests your character, and the positivity of the people around you are the ones that get you through this part of the evening. These 4 or 5 hours of climbing, zigzagging back and forth, taking a step, then slipping a little bit because it's loose gravel all the way up. I describe it as annoying, but it is the hardest thing you're going to do I imagine the hardest thing you'll do in your life if you try this climb. And this is the only part of the mountain of Kilimanjaro that will test you. Everything else is a climb. Once you've reached Gilman's Peak, the sun's starting to rise, the air starts heating up, and you think, you got a little bit of a burst of energy, and what you must do is do not delay, start going directly to Kibo Hut, which is here. Okay, well, yeah, right there where it says Ahura Peak. Go to Ahura Peak. And once you get there, of course, you made the climb. This is not as bad as the energy you just expended. So really, this is the test of your character, and this is the real testament of this mountain. This Kilimanjaro journey is really in this area right here. The positivity on that mountain is what guides you, what gets you up the mountain. So, absolutely amazing. It's something we don't want to impact. It's something we want to maintain always, no matter what we do, cable cars, roads, whatever. You have to ensure that this piece of the mountain and the positivity it takes to get through it is maintained and not affected by anything. Okay? This is not my video. This is one I found on YouTube, but it really does typify climbing the ascent in the middle of the night. And that is the pace you're going at. This is the pace you're walking at. You can see the people basically looking ahead, but they're almost all looking down. They literally are looking at the heels of the feet in front of them, and they're trying to stay in step. Here's the man here looking straight down, and likewise the next and the next. And this is how you climb for 4 hours. And these guys are starting out, so this is very positive. This is when they're all happy, everything's good, wonderful. But when you go up that mountain at this section, it's pitch black. Your little tiny light shows you the backpack and the heels of the feet of the person in front of you. If the guide who's walking very slowly, setting the pace, walks off a cliff, every one of us will do the same cliff dive. And again, the spirit of the mountain is these guides are trying to make you positive. They're singing, they're telling jokes, they're trying to encourage you along. It's really very good. And everybody's helping each other. Really, everybody's helping each other. You can see the lights in the distance of other climbers.
What percentage are we?
65%.
I'll just light you up. 65%. So that leaves...
I went to school in East London, don't ask me.
35%. That sounds better, doesn't it? 35% to go.
Okay, and just a note, your cognitive skills do decline. This woman probably does have fairly good math skills, but it certainly didn't help. And there's the key. 6 hours later of that, they're reaching the peak. Still in darkness. Mind you, we got there in light. And this is really what it's all about. When the sun starts rising and everybody gets a little burst of energy and they can see the distant peak, and they're getting there, and you can see the people coming up. And again, they're still looking down. They're very tired. I was very tired. And this is the shot. This is the money shot. Everybody wants to get in that shot. And they're always in a hurry because there's so many people around trying to get in front of that sign that shows that they were at 5'7". Well, this is not the right spot, but basically, here they go. They're climbing up at a nice slow pace. Look at it. Sun is rising in the background. Beautiful. And here they are finally at the peak, and everybody's advertising whatever they're advertising. And this is just what it takes. This is the beauty of it. And the absolute amazing images you can see from up there. Incredible. So try it out. Get on the mountain. Have a climb. They'll all help you up, including the people with you and the people around you.
So here we are on the roof of Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro, 5,895 metres. Cabis du Kili. are here and have smashed their goal.
Yeah, it certainly have. What can I say? That is thousands of small steps for London cab drivers, 7 massive leaps for cabbies to Kilimanjaro. Massive success, massive congratulations to all the summiteers, and even more congratulations to the double summiteers.
We are at the top of Kilimanjaro at the Uhura Peak, 5895 meters. You can see I'm suitably dressed, not wearing shoes. Not surprising. I did wear boots on the way up. Don't believe what you're seeing in the image. I actually did not go up the mountain barefoot, and that's another story. But there we are at the top of the hill in sunrise, early morning. Myself and my colleague from the United States, we both made it at the same time. 2 other colleagues made it after us. And as I said, when I left this place, when we walked down, and we wanted to get down quickly because we were so tired, I mean, people would hug you on the way down the mountain. Absolutely amazing. People were so helpful and encouraging. And that's what it took to get there. I got to tell you, I was tired. And I don't know how many times I stopped, even in the sight of this peak, and had to take a break and look down. And I convinced myself that I was just looking down to look at the rocks on the ground to see if there's anything interesting. But the reality was, I was tired. And just to demonstrate that I wasn't telling you a bunch of BS about looking down looking for rocks, this is a crystal I found on Mount Kilimanjaro. I found handfuls of them. You can see here I got handfuls of rocks. Now I can't see really, can you? Anyways, you can kind of see good rocks. But this is a crystal from Mount Kilimanjaro. And I found it everywhere, which demonstrates to me that it's volcanic in nature. I wasn't sure about that on my first trip when I first found them. I started looking for them again. So I was looking down, not just because I was tired, I was looking down looking for rocks. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Here I am up the mountain the first time in 2010 with my daughter and Ada as the guide that's with us. You can see the difference. First off, there's a bit more frost on the ground than there is in the photograph I just showed. But more importantly, look at how I'm dressed. I learned a big lesson from this trip. I was sweating in that outfit. It was horrible for me. I wore way too much clothing, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. So this time around, I refused. I didn't carry all the water they wanted me to carry. I didn't wear all the extra clothing. Blah, 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 blah. Too much for me. Way too much. And I had to carry it all down. That was the problem. So I learned a big lesson the first time that you wear as little as possible. I literally took off even my belt. At the risk of my shorts falling off, I took off my belt. So that was the difference between 2010 and 2012. And yet I was more tired in this time around than I was the last time around. Probably because I've been living at sea level most of the last 4 years, and as a result, I don't have the same acclimatization I had the first time. But nonetheless, same amazing view, same amazing experience, and like I've said, the camaraderie on the mountain, absolutely astounding, just absolutely amazing. Great trip, and this was as well. I got to spend it with my daughter. That was the best part. And yeah, I just loved the experience. I loved the feeling on that mountain, the positivity, amazing. Here we are, the successful 4 climbers that made the attempt at the Uhura summit. Myself, Seba, Nimesh, Shep. What I can tell you, we were successful largely due to the work of the guides. They really encouraged us and got us through that horrifying 4 or 5 hours of climbing through that zigzag and sliding. And what I want to tell you is all I saw on that climb was Seba's heels of his boot. That's what I saw. So my light was shining down because I was tired looking down, and I was watching his feet. He was watching the feet in front of him, which was the guide. Behind me was Shep watching my feet, and Nimesh was watching Shep's feet. Now, more importantly, while I was walking, I continued to try to think of things because I'm bored, and I'm thinking about work. Well, that made me defocus, and I would get out of stride with Seba, and I would bump into him, and then that would cause me to slide. So, in the end, I had to just focus on the heels of his boots, and that's what I did for 4 hours. It just made it more difficult. It was just easier to not think of anything and just focus on the heels of his boots. Unexpected parts of this climb was not so much that you met people, of course you're going to meet people, but the positivity of it. Everybody was encouraging. Whether you were going up and they were coming down and you were congratulating them or commiserating with them or what have you, everybody was positive. Everybody wanted you to succeed. And you met some interesting people. The guides, everybody. Here's a picture of myself with someone from Denmark who was on a children's toy drive. They were raising funds and stuff like this. Anyways, and this man I ran into on my way from the peak down. He was coming up to it, and he gives me a big hug. He must be about 6'7". And anyways, just absolutely amazing, the camaraderie. The Spaniards we were running into off and on all up the mountain. We would pass them, they would pass us. It was really quite fun, actually. But two of them, the two ladies in this photograph, got very sick. One got sick just before she reached Kibo Huts. The other got sick as she was trying to ascend and didn't make it. The third in the picture, he made it to the top, and probably because he came from a place where he lived at altitude, so it gave him a bit of an advantage. But all the same, again, so positive, so positive. Of course, without the guides and the porters, we would never have made it. There's no chance. This man here, Davis, he was like a godsend. Really, he was just so supportive, so positive, and always so polite. All of them, they were always there, willing you along, helping you, encouraging you. And without that, I'm sure most of us wouldn't have made it. Some of us probably would have, but most of us probably wouldn't have. And so, just an amazing experience. Davis, great job, and thank you. Here I am at, I think this is Kibo Hut. After we've descended from the mountain and before we've climbed down to Horombo. This is me standing with Alfred Cabriti, the head of our guides, the person responsible for the entire expedition, quite frankly. Without him, it would not have happened. And as I said, everybody was always positive. Everybody you see in the background would say hello to you, would talk to you, would be nice to you, would encourage you, tell you to have a good time, and tell you to be and help you to be successful. And in turn, you'd do the same for them. Everybody was polite. The one word you heard all the time on the mountain was, jambo, hello, caribou, you're welcome. And everything was positive. But without Alfred here, our expedition wouldn't even got onto the mountain. So thank you, Alfred. Great job. At the bottom, when you're finished climbing and all the singing and dancing is done, and there's a lot of joy. I mean, really, the people are so happy. I mean, they're getting paid for one. That's the most important thing for them. But also because they're genuinely happy people. They want you to be successful. If you're successful, they're successful, and they know it guarantees them, more income and whatnot. Here's an image from 2010, my first climb with my daughter Hannah here and my niece Shelby here. Myself, a little younger at the time. Still goofy looking, which is nothing I can help about. That's genetics. Okay, and a lot of very helpful people. This is Ada, our lead guide on that trip. Great guy, really interesting character. And everybody has a story. These people you will find are at university. They're taking courses at technical schools. They're getting degrees or diplomas, or they want to be something more. And the more you talk to them, the more that's the way it is. These are our employers. These are the people we work for. These are the people we don't want to hurt in any way, shape, or form when we build this telescope, if we can build the telescope. This is what it's all about, So you come down and you feel like you've just been, like it's been such an experience, obviously. But more importantly, you're around so much positivity, so much. There's no negativity, and it's just such a great feeling. It's just it's the best of the human spirit. It's the best of the human spirit. I can't explain it any better. I just can't. And it's there on Kilimanjaro that you'll find that. It really is, for the whole world. This is a sight on the earth to cherish. Finished.
The GERA Foundation will produce more videos like this. Please like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video.